Hello and welcome to the Switch RPG Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Gio, and I'm joined, as always, with Johnny. Sup, Johnny?
Sup?
He says, sup. If this is your first time listening, this is the show from SwitchRPG.com where we bring you the latest in the world of RPGs on the Nintendo Switch. This week, we are talking about the post-E3 apocalypse. That's what it is. But first, we're going to do some housekeeping. Don't forget to visit our Discord server, discord.switchrpg.com. We have our Twitters at SwitchRPG. We have our Facebook at, I think it's facebook.com/switchrpg.com, C-O-M, like Mary. What else? We got the YouTube channel, Switch RPG. Got a lot of stuff. Johnny, what have you been playing?
Well, I've been playing a whole lot of, two games, really. I played a whole lot more of the Slay the Spire. Last time I said I think I beat it. Well, I didn't.
Wrong.
It was the heart thing, and so you have to essentially slash the heart with each of the main characters, and then that also unlocks the fourth main character. There's only 4 characters, or at least the version I have, there's only 4 characters. And you don't really need to do it with the 4th character. That unlocks these 3 gems, and then as you're doing runs, you pick up these gems. You have to decide to pick up these gems, which is not good to pick these up because you're passing up on I think they're called relics. So you're passing up on a passive buff that's going to stick with you.
Okay.
But you pick them up as you go through, and then when you have all 3 of them and you reach the heart, you end up fighting the heart. And it turns into this super hard boss fight, which wasn't really that hard. I got up to it once, it killed me, and then I got up to it again, and I just completely obliterated it and beat the game. And then I've been beating the game multiple times with multiple characters, and now I'm just trying to beat it with all the characters that I haven't beat it yet. So of the 4, I have fully beaten the game with 2 of the characters, and I got 2 more to go, I believe, and then I will have the game. Maybe I'm down to just 1 more left. It's either one or 2 more left.
It sounds like a Johnny recommends Slay the Spire game, right?
Yeah, it's fun. It's good. It's I will say this. I enjoyed what was that game that was buggy and delete my save progress?
It's been patched, Griftlands.
They patched it.
They did.
It no longer I can actually progress and hopefully maybe get my save.
Progress on.
All right. I enjoy that game more than Slay the Spire. However, Slay the Spire is a bit more arcadey and quicker on its runs, whereas there's that sort of story and RPG dialogue mechanic that's in Griftlands, and I like that. And there's just a little bit more nuance to Griftlands and more of the RPG stuff in Griftlands that I really, really like. So I like that one more, but that obviously came out after Slay the Spire.
Sure.
So I would say to people, if you have to choose between one or the other, definitely get Griftlands.
But choose both. They're both pretty dang good, right?
They are both real good. I really enjoy Slay the Spire. It's just fun. It's just, good romps. It's easier. They're both kind of easy though. Once you kind of figure out how to optimize and know which kind of powers to go with, and Slay the Spire is certainly less balanced than Griftlands. Even though Griftlands is not well balanced, it's certainly better balanced than Slay the Spire. There's just it's pretty obvious. There's some things that you just absolutely shouldn't do when you're building your deck. in Slay the Spire, and you just avoid those things. There's like numerous times where the game offers you like choose between these 3 cards to add to your deck, and then I'm like, nope, no thanks, they're all junk. And then I fight the next room, and it's like, here's a bunch, 3 more cards I could choose. I'm like looking at that, I'm like, nope, no thanks, I'm all set. Skip.
Those are all pretty terrible. Thank you though.
Yeah, it's all about getting the powers. You just get the power cards, and because the power cards are buffs, permanent buffs that
Yep.
stick. That once you use the card gets burned, right? And it's no longer part of that combat session, so you won't redraw it, and it gives you a perma buff that will last for the rest of that combat. So it's kind of like building your little engine that could
Mm-hmm.
with power cards, so that you eventually power yourself up and become like this like massive deck drawing, reducing the cost of all actions, dealing combo damage like crazy, and blocking all the stuff. Type of whatever mechanism, whatever machine you build with your
Right.
deck.
Whatever engine you want to use,
Yeah,
right?
the power cards are part of that engine. So, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. If anyone wants to know the secret sauce to
Uh
deck building games,
oh, what is it?
it's you get things that sort of combo with other things that offer some sort of return on investment, long term return on investment.
Johnny,
And you,
Johnny, you're gonna have to wait. I gotta write this down.
oh, okay. And then the only other thing that you get is deck drawing.
Deck
You
draw.
combine those 2 things, and you're kind of done, because damage will just automatically happen.
Okay.
That's like ancillary.
Yep,
You don't
yep.
you don't just pick up, oh, this card does 50 damage. Like, who cares?
No, it's garbage, right?
It doesn't matter,
That's
right? All
that.
all that matters is just being able to continue drawing from your deck
That's the
and
way
being able to continue playing cards.
That's probably why I fail a lot. That's how I play. Okay, and then I'm sorry. What was number 1 was combos, like in
Yeah,
like in Killer Instinct.
yes.
Combos. Okay, cool.
Combo killer, yeah. Combo breaker.
Oh man.
All right, that's Slay the Spire. I have officially rolled the credits multiple times on that. Good stuff. And then I'm playing right now Iconoclast, which is not a new game,
Mm-mm.
but it's been on Switch for, I don't know, at least a year, probably 2 years or longer. And it's a Metroidvania style game. More so on the Metroid side of things.
Okay.
It's real good. Real good. The writing in that game is, well, they are saying things. They are definitely, they have an agenda on topics that they want to cover for the story, and they are sticking with it, and it is interesting because they're not painting by numbers. They got something to say, and I'm listening, and I'm liking it. I'm liking what they have to say. It's weird. It's definitely weird. It's also like mature. It's not like the game looks kind of fluffy,
Yeah.
and
Right. I'm looking at that now.
but it's not like the content of what they are talking about and what's going on. It's religious, and religion plays a big role into it,
Okay.
and it's interesting. It's actually it's a good, interesting story. Uh, I'm playing more through it. I'm still going through the game. I'm definitely enjoying it. All the mechanics of it, the platforming and the exploration and all that. Real good stuff. The level design, not so great. It's not bad. It's just,
Right.
you know, the environments are like, they're okay.
The main
So,
character is a mechanic, right? That's what I'm getting by here because I'm actually on the eShop right now, and one of the bullet points as to like, you know, features or whatever it is hours of nut twisting platform action adventure. I just
yes.
I didn't know she was a mechanic before that, so it was really, I just read that one bullet point and I'm like, whoa, wait a minute here.
You have a blaster and a wrench. And your
Yeah.
wrench is also, it's a melee weapon, but it's also like a reflect weapon. So if you hit a projectile with your wrench, you can reflect it back, and you kind of use your wrench to solve puzzles. And your wrench is used for platforming as well. And it's a really good because the wrench, they have that. You know how in Metroidvanias you can kind of, if you're skilled at like wall jumping, you can kind of like skip or access certain areas that you don't typically should have access to. Well, you can do that in this game. They sort of baked that into there. So like the people who made the game definitely knew like how to make a Metroidvania game. So
Right.
it checks a lot of those boxes in a very good way. It's a well-designed game. It's also like really fast paced. I really like it.
Hmm.
Like the game's just yep, let's do this. Let's go. Come on. Let's do that.
What are you
Let's
waiting
go.
for? Go.
What do you even like when you're going through the menus, it's like very snappy and just yeah, let's do this. All right. It's just like keeps you on a move. It's
It is a
like
solo developer.
solo developer. No way.
Solo, yeah, Joachim Sandberg. I mean, he's not. Looks like he has a publisher, Bifrost Entertainment. But yeah, developer is Joachim, Joachim Sandberg.
Wow. Okay. Maybe solo up until a point, and
Yeah,
then got
yeah, maybe. Obviously, a lot of these guys don't compose their own stuff, so he's probably has a composer in there. I'm not sure.
yeah.
But
Well, good job by this person, especially if they also did the story. Like they had an idea for a game and they are landing it.
yeah,
It's just weird because the story content like doesn't match the imagery that you see,
right. I see that. Yeah.
but it's good. It's good. And then the other game I played is Neo: The World Ends with You. The demo for that dropped
Oh yeah.
uh, not too long ago, and I gave that a little run through, and it was just a big giant reminder of like, oh, this is The World Ends with You. It feels like it regarding sort of the setup. Because I
Okay.
didn't want to go too much through it, but the setup of what it's doing, it almost seems like they're disregarding everything that happened in in the first one, and this is like it's almost like a remake or something like that.
Yeah.
Because I haven't come across anything that acknowledges that the first Reaping game or Reapers game happened, and it seems like this is a reset button, and this is the first Reapers game or whatever. So it's definitely its own story. Definitely this is a brand new thing, but it's like they sort of scrapped everything from the first one, and they're ignoring the first one, but they're also like building it as if it is its own first intro into The World Ends with You.
That a good thing?
Yes,
Yeah.
good
Okay.
thing
I
because
agree.
it means you don't have to play the original in order to understand what's going on
Yeah.
on.
You'll definitely bring in a whole new audience, especially for someone like me who's never played the original. And also not having, because I know about the original, but again, I've never played it, how it was very touchscreen oriented. Whereas this one, does it have touchscreen as well? Does it do both? How does that work?
It probably does. I never bothered with any of the touchscreen stuff. I never even knew that the touchscreen stuff existed because I was just playing the game with standard
Okay.
controller
Well,
stuff.
that's good.
It's a when you get into combat, that's where you're gonna get into the actiony type stuff. You have a dodge, and each of your attacks are mapped to the Y, X. I'm not sure if the A button gets mapped. The L, R, and ZL buttons, those all can get mapped. And the way they map is you get party members, and each party member, so you get three party members, and each one you assign a badge to, or sorry, a pin to. And that pin is your ability, your attack, whatever it's going to do. And depending on the pin, the way it attacks could be different. Like one pin might want you to hold the R button and then release it, hold it for like to charge it up, and then release it to do like this powerful charged up attack. Another pin might want you to just quickly, rapidly press the button in order to do rapid fire attacks.
Mm-hmm.
But they're going to be rapid fire melee. Another pin will be rapid fire but range. Another pin will be um, something like hold the button and you'll do this continuous flamethrower type of attack up until you deplete that pin, and then it goes into a cooldown. All the pins will go into a cooldown. So they kind of have like a number of activations, and then they go into their own individual cooldowns. So your pins are abilities, and they have their own way of working, and you can assign each of these pins to whichever character you want, and depending on which button you're pushing, that character is the one that you switch to and actively control and are doing those attacks. Does that make sense?
It's a little confusing, but it sounds like while you're playing it, there really isn't. It's really fine, right? Like it's understandable. There aren't any issues.
It is a little, it takes just a little bit to get used to because it's a
Okay.
very fast-paced combat. Very, very fast-paced. Because you're going up to enemies, you're rapid blasting them to build up a combo, and you kind of build up this meter thing, what they call it, like the beat combo or the beat system or something like that. And after you sort of get a few number of hits with one character, you create this window of opportunity to keep the beat going. But in order to do that, you have to switch. You have to hit that same enemy because there is a lock on system. You have to
Okay.
hit that same enemy with a different character. So you want to switch to a different character that obviously uses a different pin that has a different method of attacking in order to continue that beat. Because at the end of the combat, you're going to get ranked on how well you did, and keeping that beat going keeps your combos higher to get more points at the end. You also have to worry about dodging, and then you're also not fighting against just one enemy, you're fighting against multiple enemies at the same time. And also, if you're doing good with your combos and you're keeping up the beat, you're building up this sort of team superpower meter,
Mm-hmm.
and you can activate that once you fill up that gauge.
It's
So
like a big attack. Is that what it is?
yeah, yeah, it's like one of those big type of attack things. Yep.
Cool. You think it's
Yep.
something you're gonna fully dive into? You gonna purchase or?
I played enough to know that it doesn't run. It does it runs fine, right? It didn't have any major performance issues. It was fine.
Okay.
From what I played, it was fine. Visually, it looks fine, right? No complaints, both on the performance end and on the visuals. I know it's not running 1080p. I know it's not running a steady 30 frames per second. It's not running less than 30 frames per second, but it's not running at a locked 30 frames per second.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
Well, it's a little bit higher than 30 frames per second.
No,
That's what it's running.
I'm telling you. Are you buying this? Are you gonna
Oh,
buy
I'm gonna wait for the reviews.
it?
As always.
As always.
As always.
I was trying to see if I was gonna get you.
Because for all I know, it's 'cause there is a lot of similarity to way it's sort of, it indicate to me like this is gonna play just like The World Ends with You,
Yeah.
but in 3D, which
Right.
is which is great. But I already did that experience and it was great. And I just want to make sure, I'm gonna wait for the reviews to make sure it's gonna be worthwhile.
Yeah.
If it
This.
scores well, like I'm definitely gonna pick it up because it was doing all the things that I remember being fascinated with.
Right.
Um, it didn't go into like details on the food system, or it might have in the demo. I just didn't get to that point.
Okay.
Uh, and it had placeholders for it in the menus. When you navigate to the menus, there I was just locked out of it.
Yep.
Uh, the other major thing is the clothing, the style system,
Mm-hmm.
the branding that you can do while wearing it. It's real cool how they implemented it in the first game. They have it in this one. I don't know to what extent and whether they expanded it yet. So I'm looking
So
forward
it
to
seems like the demo was pretty expansive, where you didn't even possibly you didn't get to play all of it.
I played all of the first day, and then
Okay.
I stopped during the second day.
Yep.
And I don't know if it takes you all the way through to the second day as
Sure.
well.
Sure.
Uh,
Cool. Very cool.
Yeah, so that's what I've been playing.
All right, my turn.
Yeah.
My turn. All right. Yeah, I've been. If you follow the YouTube channel, I've been playing Baldur's Gate, Dark Alliance. Now, obviously, this is an older remake. I plan on finishing it. That's the plan, anyway. I'm playing as a mage type character, and I will tell you, I don't think the game was ever intended to be. I feel like I've taken a difficult route. If I was, say, for example, a melee character. It would probably be maybe a little bit easier. I find it's more challenging with the mage type character, and it's kind of hard to, like, as you're running through these dungeons. If you picture like your Diablo-esque type games where you can rerun the same dungeon over and over and over again to kind of maybe gain experience or loot or things of that nature, that is completely gone in Dark Alliance. That is not even an option. So I can't go revert back to like previous dungeons that I've completed and maybe possibly gain an edge on the enemies to try and help me advance through. That again, like I said, that's completely not even an option. So it is kind of challenging in that aspect. I kind of wish that was there. That maybe that's a product of its time that wasn't even really a thing. But I do think I want to say Diablo 2 was around that same time. So I don't know where that line fell, but that's the way they chose to do it. So I am running through that. Like I said, I plan on completing it. I want to say I'm probably halfway to 75% there. I'm kind of in between there. Say 60%.
I-
So
Is it randomly generated or procedurally generated? The levels they were going through.
I'm gonna tell you, I don't know because, like I said, if you try and rerun the same dungeon, it's basically just think of it as floors, all right, or like sewer levels, or your sewer level 1, sewer level 2, sewer level 3, or whatever. That's just how it's run. So I really can't tell if it's procedurally generated because if you go back to this previous levels, they're the same. So I'm gonna say that they're not, but
Okay.
the loot is random. So those are procedurally generated, I guess. It
Yep.
is random loot. So if I scum save and try and get some better loot out of a chest, I guess you could potentially do that because you're gonna get different loot out of that chest every time. So yeah, it's not bad. I mean it definitely leaves you wanting more in terms of a better like in terms of what Diablo has to offer. So when that comes out, I think we'll get a better experience out of Diablo. Um, so yeah, I've been playing that. I did play the speaking of demos, you had played the Neo demo. I played the Monster Hunter Stories 2 demo because I am a child and you are also a child because I think
Oh, yeah.
that's yeah, so we're both children.
Yeah.
But I want to say, like, I never played the original Monster Hunter Stories. And I know I made fun of myself saying, I want to say it's geared towards a younger audience, and maybe part of that is because of the battle mechanic. It's kind of like your rock paper. People call it rock paper scissors. Basically, I think it's technique, speed, and power. Each beats one of those things. So that's basically how the fighting or the combat mechanic works. So if you're fighting an enemy or whatever, they fight in a particular style, and you have to counteract that style that way. Now, I want to say, and I don't know if you've played it or not, or maybe it's even in the original one if you've played that one, that it's the same as Monster Hunter Rise or any Monster Hunter game where you have to actually visually look at the enemy, and that is and could be a representation of what style they're fighting. And then you have a better idea as to what to counteract it with. I only got that kind of closer to the end of my demo experience. So it took me a while to pick up on that because I'm a little slow, you know what I mean? But I think that's kind of a cool type of thing where you can actually get a visual representation of what is happening here. But it was really a substantial. There's a lot going on in there. to say that it's for children or a younger audience, it might be a little tougher, for a younger audience to fully understand what is going on, because I think there's actually a decent amount there, especially in the demo. If you haven't played the demo, definitely pick it up. I think it's visually looks really, really cool. I like the story. It's definitely something I'm getting. I'm not going to wait for reviews because I got the collector's edition. I'm a schmuck. I couldn't stay away from it. So that's that. But it is definitely something I think I'm going to be really, really into. I am going to try and get my son to get into it. Maybe I can get, because like I said, it's geared towards a younger audience, but he just might be a little too young. He's only 8 years old. And I think a lot of it might be just going over his head, just maybe a little too complicated for him. Had he been maybe like 12, 13, I think it'd be, probably better for him. But definitely recommend the game. Now I do want to also take note, this is non-Switch RPG related. I know that's taboo, and I always yell at you, Johnny, after the fact for doing this. Okay?
Taboo.
But it does have to do with an RPG. It actually has to do with Dungeons and Dragons Dark Alliance. Not Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance, but Dungeons and Dragons Dark Alliance. This is the new one that's on, I think it's on everything else but the Switch, because obviously the Switch, really can't handle it. So I'm playing it on my Xbox, or at least I'm trying to play it on my Xbox. I was initially able to play the tutorial area in Dungeons and Dragons Dark Alliance. I had no problems kind of going through it. I'm kind of preparing ahead of time because I have a group of friends that are willing to play with me, group of 3 other people, so we have a party of 4. Great. All right, let me just get a head start. I'll blast through this tutorial thing. Not a big problem. Okay. They're not able to play that day. Fine, whatever. The next day, everyone's able to play. Fantastic. Let's go get started. Geo goes to get started, hits the button for Dark Alliance. Splash screen comes up, a little loading kind of circle counter in the bottom left. It shuts my Xbox off. That's kind of weird, right? Okay, let's try it again. It does the exact same thing again. I'm like, okay, this is kind of getting serious, all right? My Xbox is not playing any games. So what do I go for? I go for the most broken game I have, Cyberpunk 2077. Update it, 80 gigs. Oh man, I haven't played that in a while. 80 gigs of updates. It plays like a freaking dream or a nightmare. Whatever you want to say, it plays. I don't have a problem. Like, okay. So I played that for a half hour. I'm like, okay, maybe it's overheated, even though I just turned it on, whatever. So I'm playing, okay. Let's go back to Dark Alliance. Boom. Shuts off my Xbox again. All right. Let's uninstall it. Reinstall it. 45 minutes later, here we are again, same boat. Again, it keeps continuing to shut off my Xbox. What does Geo do next? I hit the Google machine. All right, Google, tell me someone else has this problem. No one has this problem. It's just Geo. Freaking fantastic. Let me reset everything. I reset my entire Xbox, right? My entire Xbox. That's a freaking long time. I got to wait for everything to reinstall. It wasn't really everything. I just pretty much did the bare bones. Let's get Dark Alliance back on there. Everything's been reset, right? No problems. Same freaking thing again. Shuts off the Xbox. I was about to say some bad words there. Shuts off the Xbox. All right, fantastic. Let me really get into the nitty gritty. I'm gonna go to Reddit. I don't like going to Reddit. I think it's a very toxic place. Let me go to the subreddit for Dark Alliance. Just kind of search through. Again, no one has this issue but Geo. All right, you know what? I've told my party I can't play with them anymore. They've already picked someone else up. So now I'm a party of 5. Geo's on the back burner. Geo can't play anymore. Okay. I've tried so many things. I've reset everything. I'm like, okay, maybe it's not a 4K game at 120. Maybe I can downgrade it to 1080 30. Again, same problem. Like, I've tried so many stupid little things. I work in IT, so it's kind of my thing where I just kind of progressively just work through problem after problem and kind of, all right, let's work this out. Let's work that out. I tried for 2 days and I've given up. I can't play it.
So when you said you reset your Xbox, does that mean like a format?
Factory reset.
Wow. And that didn't solve it.
It did nothing. But the problem is I was able to play it once. And then after that, never again.
Oh man. Did you die or something? Is it like, did you enable like hardcore permadeath mode or something?
I can't even start the game. Is it that hardcore where you die, you can't play anymore?
I know, right?
Oh
It just
man, such a.
everything.
I'm out of all the. Here's the thing though, like out of all the party members, I'm probably the most excited to play, and now I can't freaking play. I'm like, okay, how about it's on Game Pass? I have Game Pass. Let me try another Game Pass. Maybe it's Game Pass. Maybe Game Pass is the problem.
Yep.
So I downloaded Yakuza Like a Dragon. I have it. I own it. I didn't install it on there. Let me download it from Game Pass. Wait for it. I'm able to play. Not a freaking problem. I just don't get it. Anyway,
So
that
is that game, you have it physically and you installed it physically?
Dark Alliance? No.
Strictly Game Pass?
Strictly Game Pass. Yep.
Okay.
I was able to play. I played Skyrim. I'm like, wow, Skyrim looks freaking fantastic. What did they do? So freaking mad.
Oh.
And now I'm out of the party, Johnny. I'm out of the party. They've found someone else.
Oh, looks like you got grifted
Whatever.
by You got the Griftland bug.
Screw the party. That's what I say. I'm gonna be a lone wolf now. Anyway, let's get into some of these new game announcements. What do you say?
Let's do it.
All right, we only got one for this week. Again, this is the post E3 apocalypse. This is what generally happens. Everybody announced their stuff either prior to E3 or at E3, so now we're just kind of waiting. There's a lot of games being released, especially this month. There's a lot of decent ones. So we mentioned a couple of them that we played the demo for. Also another one I played the demo for, I don't think I mentioned it, was Yeast 9. That's actually coming out in like a week. So
Yeah.
anyway, Square Enix announces a brand new Mana console game. Now we all know, or maybe we don't all know, but they are coming out with a smartphone game called Echoes of Mana. But during their what was it, their 30th anniversary thing here, let's just read here. This is from My Nintendo News. Square Enix has confirmed that they are hard at work at a brand new Mana console experience. And also the smartphone thing, which I just mentioned. The new smartphone game is Echoes of Mana and appears to be a worldwide release rather than just in Japan. Now, the console Mana game hasn't been given a title and platforms yet to be confirmed. Square Enix is also planning an anime, which I think is going to be really cool, along with the anime series for Final Fantasy IX. But why we're getting these inclinations that they're coming out with something new is that the series creator, Koichi Ishii, says he will pour all the energy that fans have given to him into a new game. So with him saying that, I guess maybe something's at work. I really hope something is at work.
Yeah.
But
I mean, we briefly discussed this before recording, and I mentioned, hey, they got that really nice looking Trials of Mana engine done, a game released on it. So my guess is they're using that work and springboarding a whole new entry into the franchise based on utilizing the efforts that they put in there. So if I had to guess, it's going to play a little similar to what they did in Trials of Mana, but hopefully they expand on it and put in more nuanced design and complexity and potentially a different sort of environment navigation because it felt a little grounded. Everything felt a little like you're surrounded by walls
right.
everywhere.
Yeah.
So you couldn't really freely explore. So maybe they changed that up. So
Yeah,
I'm excited for it.
that would definitely be interesting. I'm really I've always been a fan of the Mana games, so I'm hoping that they do utilize something of what the Trials of Mana did, because that was their newest take on the Mana experience. That was their recreation of a Mana game. So if they work based off that, I think the Switch could definitely handle something of that nature. So yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
And they need to get multiplayer. Get multiplayer going.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah, it's a shame Trials of Mana didn't get that multiplayer experience where it was in the original, but not in this one. So, yeah, I mean, me personally, multiplayer, local multiplayer, doesn't really affect me because I have no one. I think that's not many people do that anymore. Everyone's just so far away. That you don't get that couch co-op experience a lot. So, at least I don't.
speak for yourself.
All right. Yeast 9 Monstrum Nox file size for Nintendo Switch is a mere 3.2 gigabytes. That is really kind of surprising.
Yeah, it's quite small compared to just most other games, but you know what that probably means is we're not going to get like big, giant, lengthy dialogue events and sort of cutscenes. I mean, mostly, most of the time when you have like big, giant games, like their cutscenes are actually videos that play, and
Right.
they kind of interrupt actual gameplay rendering with video feeds, pre-recorded video feeds, and then they switch back to gameplay, and they do it kind of seamlessly because they render the video in game using in-game graphics, so you don't really notice the difference.
Sure.
So they've gotten sneaky about it, but when they do stuff like that, and a lot of games do this, Doom, I believe, does it, and Mass Effect did it, and a bunch of games do this, and they still do it. You increase the file size dramatically because a movie is essentially they're putting a cutscene, but as a movie instead of rendering it using in-game assets, so it's sort of building itself on the fly dynamically.
Right.
It's pre-recorded, so it just you have to have the data there, and then it doesn't really have to like spend all this processing effort to re-render everything. It's just showing a video.
Right. Now, I'm not going to say I didn't believe the article because, I mean, I was just surprised that it was that small. So I'm like, all right, I played Lacrimosa of Dana. I played Yeast 8, right?
Yep.
How big is that game? That game, Yeast 8, Lacrimosa of Dana, this is the
1.1.
How
I'm
much?
guessing. I'm guessing 1.1.
You would be so wrong. It is actually 14.8 gigabytes.
Whoa! What?
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing though, like Yeast 8 also has a lot of, I think it has some DLC and some added on stuff. I don't see that on the eShop right now. So I don't know if it takes all that into account. But even so, like that is a massive, massive difference, right? Like even if you were to take away, I know a lot of it was cosmetic stuff, so it can't really be adding on a whole lot.
Nah, definitely not.
But holy cow, 14, you go from Yeast 8 14 point, what I say, 14.8 to Yeast 9, which is 3.2. That's like that's a massive, massive difference.
That is a massive difference. Maybe Yeast 8 did a lot of what I was mentioning before. It either had heavy amounts of voice acting or heavy amounts of pre-rendered footage
Yeah.
baked into the game.
Yeah, I would have to do a little bit of digging, and I'll say that regarding any DLC or anything like that, it might take all of that into consideration. I just don't remember what the add-ons were. I know that there are add-ons. I don't
Yeah.
even know where I could find that because it's not on the eShop.
And they might have even done something like they included the Japanese voice track that you can switch on the fly. When games do that, right, you're essentially doubling your audio,
Right.
especially if they're including the soundtrack. Like, here's the Japanese soundtrack, here's the English soundtrack, here's the Japanese voiceover, here's the English voiceover. Right,
Yeah.
that's a lot. That's a lot of data.
Okay. All right. So here's another thing here. So I'm at the website called Deku Deals, so you can basically see what's on the eShop. You get like all these, you can see what's on sale, all that stuff. It's a really nice website. So I just put in Monstrum Nox. Okay. There are 2 pages of add-ons. So there's a lot of stuff here. Now let me put in Dana. Maybe there is we're doing this all live on the fly.
Oh yeah.
Dana, Dana also has again 24 items, so it's just lesser amount, but I'm looking at it and it's all pretty cosmetic stuff. I'm not seeing any major DLC type of stuff. So yeah, I don't know. That's pretty surprising. Maybe they did do a lot of extra content like you said, maybe those FMVs, those tracks, all that stuff. I don't know.
That's what I'm thinking. I think they just included everything in the kitchen sink with Yeast 8.
That
I
is,
don't think I don't think it's a DLC because DLC usually isn't big on downloads. Usually it's just cosmetics and I don't know, you get a different sound effect for
could it
something.
could it be where maybe patches, the way that I'm guessing they're on different engines, right? Maybe the way the patches were worked, that they just needed to really compound, and it compounded to where it just bloated the game, or maybe the Nox version is just more refined.
No, I
I don't
think
know.
I it's
I'm reaching here.
I would have to say it's they either included like alternate languages, like multiple alternate languages in the same package. Like they
Hmm.
took like the French and the Spanish voiceovers. Zelda did that, right? Where you could switch to the Spanish, the French
Did you have to
voice.
download it, or was it all included?
That I don't know, but maybe they did something like that
Hmm.
where it's part of it and you could just switch it in the main menu and all of a sudden you have the Japanese voiceover and the Spanish and the French and whatnot. And that would be an increased size. And if you will have to find out, I mean, it's easy to just take
Hmm.
East 8, take a look at the localization that's available, the options that are available in that, and then take East 9 when it eventually releases and see what's available there. And if
Yeah.
there's, the same amount of voiceover switching and soundtracks and whatnot, if those are similar, then what it probably is Yeast 8 probably had pre-rendered video footage
Yeah.
on along with it, and Yeast 9 they did it in engine. They rendered in engine.
Yeah, that I think is probably that has to be it, because even the supported languages, they're both the same. They're both English and French. I'm
Yeah.
surprised there's no Japanese there, but yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
that's
this
crazy.
this is almost 5 times the size, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or 1/5 the size of Yeast 8. That's a big difference.
Yeah, that's massive. All right, cool. Next we have Forever Entertainment. Says it's now it's has a publishing agreement with Nintendo. This is kind of cool because these are the folks who recently did the was it a remaster of Panzer Dragoon? Is that what it was?
Panzer Dragoon and House of the Dead remakes, they now have a deal. It looks like it's gonna be exclusive? What does it say here on My Nintendo News? Says Forever Entertainment, the developers behind Panzer Dragoon remakes, along with the upcoming House of the Dead remakes, have said in a press release that they have entered a publishing agreement with Nintendo to presumably publish some of their remakes exclusively on the popular Nintendo Switch system. The Polish press release has been translated by Reset Era members Cass C. The Polish developer recently announced that it has entered an agreement with Square Enix to help remake some of their older titles. Today's press release says Forever Entertainment now has significant financial backing from Nintendo.
There we go. So that's where Mario RPG comes back, is with these guys.
Uh, dude, you're
So this is where where we've entered that territory where we're wondering, like, all right, where is Mario RPG? Why isn't that available on Nintendo Online? That's because Square Enix and Nintendo kind of have a thing there, especially specifically for that game. I think that game is kind of in limbo as to who owns it. I don't even know. But that's the first game that comes to mind, right? They have they're specifically working with Nintendo and older Square Enix titles. So I don't know what your thoughts were on that, like that, but that's the first thing that came to my mind.
Uh, it could be. I mean, why would Nintendo? Yes, they're getting exclusives, but why would Nintendo? All right, so here's the thing. Like, the company went to Square and is like, "Hey, we'll remake some of your old stuff." And then the company went to Nintendo and is like, "Hey, we need money to make some of Square's stuff, and we'll give you exclusivity to it."
Right.
There's a connection. You're not, I wasn't even thinking of Mario RPG, but then you
I
brought that up and
I said
quickly
I said the words.
you said the words, and now the moons and stars are starting to align. All 7 of them stars.
Also, oh, I see what you did there. I see what you did there. Spoiler alert.
It's not a spoiler.
Spoiler alert. You gotta tell the people. But yeah, that's exactly what I think of. I thought of Mario RPG. I was trying to think of maybe some older Square Enix titles again, really kind of retro type of stuff. That maybe they could come up with. I don't. Again, we'd have to go into the Wayback Machine.
Well, if they're doing Square stuff, Mario RPG, yes, absolutely. That game is absolutely fantastic. And if they do a remake and remove some of the older jank and put in some nice updated mechanics, but kind of keep the game as it was, more or less, but
Mm-hmm.
update the old stuff, right? Like, sign me up.
Right.
But there's a whole lot of old Final Fantasies that are screaming for a good, legitimate remake.
Are you talking about the Pixel remasters that are just now coming out for Steam or PC only?
And they are very steamy.
They are very. Can I talk about the font and how ugly the font is on those?
Uh,
Goodness, like what? Come on. I understand you want a pixel perfect game, but the font needs to kind of match. It just looks so out of place. Terrible.
yeah.
But we have Chrono Trigger. Chrono Trigger could be a possibility for these guys. I know that that's like the holy grail for some people, and some
Yeah.
people just want to leave it alone.
Well, I mean, here's the kicker with Chrono Trigger. If they remake it and they flop in any which way, shape, or form, which
Yeah,
is highly likely because the original is so great, if they mess it up, who
that's
cares? You
who.
still have Chrono Trigger.
Oh yeah, you still have Chrono Trigger, but man, I don't know that Nintendo. Number one, I don't think Nintendo would want to release a product that was not done to their standards. So I'm sure with them having some financial backing, or even Square Enix, like they're gonna want a good product out there. So let's just say that right
Yeah, but
there.
Chrono Trigger has nothing to do with Nintendo, so
Right? Yeah.
because they brought that over on the PlayStation with whatever it was, Final Fantasy Anthology or something
Mm,
like that. One of those compilations had Chrono Trigger on it.
okay. Yeah. I don't know. I think the sky is kind of the limit here. We can see some of the older Dragon Warrior games, but I think don't we have some of those on Nintendo Online? Thought we
Yeah,
had.
I
Yeah.
think they all released. Yeah. And they're doing the Dragon Quest 3, right?
The HD 2D or
Yeah,
whatever that is.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you do it. That's how you do a remake right there.
Yeah, but I don't know if Forever Entertainment's behind that at all.
No, they're probably not. I'm not saying to do it that way. I'm just saying like that team that's doing the Dragon Quest 3 remake, they are putting in the effort. And they're
Yeah.
doing it that way, which is fine. No one has to copy that. You could just tell just by when you watch that trailer, like, yes, they are putting in the effort to remake an old game.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right,
So
cool.
that's awesome. Yep.
Next, we have Monster Hunter Rise version 3.1. I cannot keep up with these versions, man. I'm gonna tell you that. I really can't.
I mean, most of what this is the simple little cosmetic event quest type stuff. No new monsters, no new weapons, and nothing really major or too substantial. Little bits of content, and most of it, though, however, on this patch is just bug fixes.
Yeah, I'm
Like,
looking at this giant list. Holy cow.
it is massive. They fixed there are some weird corner cases here where they could just ignore. I mean, and no one would really care. They fixed it. They fixed like everything. This is impressive. They are spending so much time make polishing what was already a very polished game. This thing is shining, it's glimmering, it's like a diamond now.
Well,
It is
they're also this is your base, right? This is what you're prepping for, like, DLC to be put on top of. So if you want more people to purchase that, you got to show like you have a really solid base here, and that's definitely what they're doing.
well, they're kind of done. I'm not expecting any new major DLC updates for the game.
Right,
Just
right. But what I'm saying is your base, your bugs, all that stuff is kind of getting wrung out. It's getting cleaned
yeah,
up.
but those bugs are hardly no. I mean, all right. Here's an example. Fixed a bug preventing the auto shout out quote when a monster is limping end quote from activating for guest during multiplayers.
I was playing and I was wondering. I was playing with someone and I was wondering. I'm like, why aren't they shouting that the monster is injured? And I wrote to Capcom an angry letter. I mailed it to them, stamp and all. They got it. They fixed it. Thank you.
I
But
mean,
honestly, this is probably all stuff like people haven't complained about this, Raf, or you know what
no
I mean?
one.
This is all stuff in development or in house. Like they've noticed that, all right, this guy's not freaking shouting whatever it is. We got to fix that. So they make note of it. They fix it.
Yeah, look, kudos to them. They're just polishing a absolutely fantastic game of the year,
Hmm.
and they're just making it even better. And if people are still out there and they haven't gotten Monster Hunter Rise, like, what are you waiting for?
Yeah, I will say that it is not for everyone. The combat is a little heavy. It's heavier weighted combat, and not everyone likes that. Everyone likes the immediate button push uh
No,
action
nope.
and cancel out of it easily.
I don't like that. I like the heavier
I know.
combat.
I said most people. You are not most people.
I do like the fast stuff too, but
Yeah.
I prefer the weighty stuff.
So I think it definitely has, its core audience, no doubt about it. But to try and bring someone over, I'll give you an example. My brother-in-law, he really loves the look and style. He loves it all, but I can't get into the combat. I'm like, I say, well, yeah, you push a button, you better be freaking committed because you're attacking.
Yep.
So I don't know. Speaking of Monster Hunter, we have the demo. The Monster Hunter Stories 2 demo is out, as we've mentioned before. I do recommend playing that because I do think it's really worth your time. Also, Capcom is holding a special Monster Hunter Stories 2 live stream on July 2nd. Now, what they'll be showing off is a launch trailer, some co-op gameplay behind the scenes, and a title update info. I'm not sure what that is at all, but just know that it'll be it's a thing. It's gonna happen.
Yeah. And for the next one, we kind of already talked about it at length. So Neo, The World Ends With You, a new trailer released, showing more of the intro video bit of the game, as well as the demo is now available. So if you're interested, even if you've never even heard of it, if it looks weird, just download the demo and try it out. The game's actually good. Like when you're running through Shibuya, the buildings morph and warp
That's pretty
around you.
cool. I think I'm gonna try it too. We will be having some video uploaded to YouTube. My friend Rich over at Switch RPG has produced that for us, so that'll be up on the YouTubes probably in the next day or so. But Square Enix says that the Switch version of the Saga Frontier remaster has produced the most sales. Not surprising. Switch is bomb. Switch is gangsta. So we see that with a lot of titles that are multi-platform. So that is good to hear. Always good to hear. That means more games will come to us. Also, Japan, the next Nintendo Online game trial is for Valkyria Chronicles. Now, I don't know if that'll come to the West here. Not entirely sure. But again, I think you can kind of just create a Japanese account. And
Yep.
this game is it's been already here. So you can certainly give that a shot. So a game trial, I think you mentioned that it's basically it opens up the entire game for possibly like a weekend or so.
Yeah,
And
usually the weekend. Yep.
yeah, so you get a try at that. So that is a thing. Also, ex Atlas staff reveals a Monarch opening video. So they're the new game Monarch. I think we mentioned it in the last podcast episode. So there are some ex-Atlas developers who are making a game called Monarch. This is their opening video. I wasn't impressed with the gameplay in Monarch, but this opening video is kind of cool. It is very tropey for anime, especially nowadays, but it is definitely worth a watch. I think it'll get some people pumped up, some people into it. So
Yep. It checks the boxes for things that make anime cool.
yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
check, check, check.
I will say it's newer anime, not like your older anime. Anyway, next we have Eiyuden Chronicle planned for next gen Nintendo hardware. So this is, I just wanted to put this out there. This was bothering me. This is the only reason why we're talking about this. I've been in a really angry mood recently. So this is to go along with the Dark Alliance thing. It's totally set me off. But I'm seeing this kind of take off as new news, and it really is not new news. So Eiyuden Chronicles, if you're not familiar with it, these are the folks who have, or ex-developers of Suikoden. Konami doesn't know what to do with Suikoden anymore, so these guys be like, okay, let's throw a Kickstarter in. We'll do it. We'll have a successful Kickstarter launch, but wait, we need more money, so we have publishers now. I'm just kind of giving you a quick synopsis. So they got a publisher along with them. I think they're also releasing another game alongside Eiyuden Chronicle. But anyway, the developers talk about a next gen Nintendo hardware. So a lot of people are assuming that they're talking about the Nintendo Switch Pro, but this was known months and months ago when this Kickstarter was launched. What they specifically kind of said was, not specifically, what they kind of roundabout said is that they're going to go multi-platform. They want to go on the Switch, but this new iteration of Switch is, we don't know if it can handle it. So if there's something else, like a new Switch, it could potentially go on to that. So a lot of people are just now picking up on this, and I think it's because of a new developer interview that kind of just is again being released. So what platform, this is one of the questions, what platforms will Eiyuden Chronicle 100 Heroes release on day one? As originally pledged to the backers, the game will be released on Xbox One, Xbox Series, all of Xbox, PlayStation 4, 5, Steam, Epic, and Nintendo's next generation hardware. So again, that's where, again, people are just latching on to this Nintendo Switch Pro thing. I'm not a denier of the Nintendo Switch Pro, but I mean, are we all really just that desperate and looking for confirmation about it? That we're all of a sudden, raising this this interview, and this is proof of a Nintendo Switch Pro coming. We all know it's coming. You just gotta wait, right?
Reiterating old news, kind of.
Yeah, so it's just rehashing thing, and it just bothers me that, like, and they're not the only one. This is who is this? This is on Nintendo Everything, and I love Nintendo Everything. It's not just them. I saw this on Eurogamer. I saw this on Kotaku. I've seen this on so many other things. It's just all of a sudden like doing it all over again. It's like, what are we doing here? Like we're not new about this. Are we? This is like they're just trying to, I don't know, get the clicks, I guess. Anyway, Disgaea 6 has recently been released, and it's kind of doing okay. I think obviously the plan was for it to not do, or for it to be excellent. I think it's kind of falls short of that.
Yeah, it's it looks to be a bit more of the same. Not too much. Not really changing things up too much. And I mean, if you've played one Disgaea game, you kind of played most Disgaea games with some differences here and there. This is certainly the best looking one of the bunch,
Yeah.
visually, but they were never really like these games were never really trying to be the best of looking tactical RPGs. So I mean, it is a semi-flawed series with some really good, solid mechanics and grind. And if you like to grind on tactical RPGs with a good combat system, then Disguise for you.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not a fan of Disgaea and you're looking to get into tactical RPGs, I would recommend finding a different tactical
Hmm.
RPG, an older one like Final Fantasy Tactics or Tactics Ogre. The
Right.
old
Let's stick to the Switch though. I mean, what if Disgaea 6 is potentially not their thing? And just by the way, this also released on the 29th, so it's been a day. I think there's still probably some reviews to be coming in, but you did mention previously before we recorded that the Metacritic is around 74 with about 50% recommending to get it. But if you're on the Switch, what strategy RPGs can we get?
Emblem.
And that's it.
What more do you need? Fire Emblem, get it.
Yeah, definitely recommend Fire Emblem, but I got others to recommend. I recommend XCOM 2. That is
Yep.
definitely one to get. Mario plus Rabbids. That game is always on sale. Very very good.
Yeah, less RPG on that one though.
Yeah, it's kind of yeah, you're right. It is less RPG, but definitely worth a buy.
Yep.
Let me see here. I'm not seeing much of anything else. That's probably one of the weakest areas of genre in
It
RPGs.
is. There's what's it called?
This Fell Seal is another one.
Hellseal.
Yeah.
That was the one I was checking with. So I would say
Excuse me.
Hellseal is going to be a more nuanced, interesting, uh, tactical RPG to play than because it at least has a story that takes itself serious enough,
Yep.
and it's definitely a weird world in Fellseal, but at least it takes that story and sort of is grounded in it and takes it seriously.
Right.
Whereas this guy is even the comedy of this guy is not good comedy, and it doesn't take itself seriously.
Yeah. So definitely over the top. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Might I also recommend? Would you consider Wargroove in this, or is that just a tactics?
It's just Wardrobe's tag. I wouldn't put that in this category. There's
I
definitely tactics
Yeah.
involved in Wargroove. It's just not. It wouldn't tickle the same fancy.
Yeah.
You're not getting player progression in Wargroove.
Right. Also, don't want to forget ever the best game, best RPG in my opinion, Divinity: Original Sin 2.
Oh, there you go. You want tactical RPG that is absolutely fantastic. Well, boom, right there.
Right.
That's you kind of can't get any better unless it's Fire Emblem
No. You put those
on
head
Switch. On Switch.
whatever. We're not gonna get into it now. We'll get a freaking Fire Emblem Three Houses versus Divinity: Original Sin 2 clash. We'll do it. We'll do it. But yeah, I mean, it's a little up in the air. So with Disgaea 6, there could possibly be better games to play, but I will say that the Disgaea fans will probably like it.
Yeah, and just to reiterate, this is only if you are curious about it. If you're already a fan of Disgaea, you're gonna like this one,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
So we're not saying to not get it if you're a fan. If you're a fan, get it. What are you waiting for? You're
Yeah.
gonna like it.
Hey, I've been meaning to ask you, Johnny. Do you want to go somewhere with me?
Yeah, I
Let-
do.
All right. Let's go to Rumorland. That was so dumb. That was so dumb.
We went there, though.
Oh man, we went there. All right. GamesBeat journalist Jeff Grubb has mentioned on his YouTube show. This guy has been. I will tell you, Jeff Grubb is in the middle of everything. So if you've been following any of the E3, rumors or whatever, this guy's in the middle of it. Okay. So GamesBeat journalist Jeff Grubb has mentioned on his YouTube show that EA is readying itself for an announcement that is sure to please core fans. Speaking on the latest episode, Jeff Grubb's Game Mess, Mr. Grubb, said, "I think you'll be happy. We're going to see it. If we're not dead first." It sounds as if he could be alluding to the Dead Space franchise. So if we're not dead first, do you get it? Do you get it? Okay.
Oh,
All right. So Dead Space. What do you think on that rumor?
I hope so.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I totally hope so. Dead Space is essentially Resident Evil 4, but in futuristic
Space time.
sci-fi. Just amazing game. I have Dead Space 1 and 2,
Yeah.
and just really good stuff. It's the spaceship itself is explorable. It has like a Metroidvania-esque aspect to it. And as you're sort of searching through, you can pick up things that can level up either your weapons or your little backpack, whatever that thing that jacks into your spine is, whatever. Your suit,
Freaks me
right?
out.
You can enhance your suit. It's just a really cool, awesome franchise, and yeah, you only need one gun. You only need that. I forgot what it was called, but that like
Late.
three-way shooter
Yeah,
thing,
that laser thing.
a
All right.
plasma. I think it's called. That gun was okay.
Yeah, so here's the thing. Like you had put together this week's show for us. Thank you again for doing that. And before doing that, I had already known this, and this kind of just I didn't know about Jeff Grubb's thing, but I knew about this. I knew that the Dead Space YouTube channel updated its profile picture after years of inactivity. So it had been gone from doing absolutely nothing to just recently updating his profile picture. So I think there's a little bit of smoke here, a little bit,
Yep.
and it's kind of cool. All right, getting on to some more newsy stuff. GameStop reveals its top 10 video game pre-orders following E3, and guess what? What is at the top of this list here?
It begins with an M and ends with a D.
Yeah, I will tell you that almost all of these are Nintendo Switch titles. So we have Metroid Dread at number 1. Then we have Skyward Sword at 2, Mario Golf, which is really kind of surprising. I didn't think that would be up there. Mario Golf, Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, Mario Party Superstars, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, Far Cry 6, Dungeons and Dragons Dark Alliance. Don't do it. Cancel your pre-orders. Madden NFL 22 and Pokemon Legends Arceus.
The Pokemon Legends Arceus, that surprises me. That game isn't coming out until allegedly early next year.
Yeah.
And from what they showed off, it doesn't look good.
Nah, it probably needs a little more time, unless that's really old footage that we saw, but I wouldn't that also doesn't make sense to me. So
But it's number 10, but wow, like Microsoft showed off a good deal of stuff. There was a lot of PC interesting PC games. Obviously, PC games don't really get pre-ordered, so I'm just surprised we're not seeing like Halo.
No Halo there. Now,
right?
What about like Elden Ring? I would think that could be up there.
Elden Ring, especially Elden Ring. That's probably one of the biggest games that got revealed. And what was the big one for Microsoft?
Starfield.
Starfield, that's it. Yep.
But I mean, even so, that showed no gameplay. So
yeah. Well, a lot of what was shown throughout all of the E3 stuff, unless it was indie. If it was indie, lots of gameplay. But if it wasn't indie, if it was like bigger budget type games, a lot of cinematics.
Yeah,
not a whole lot of
not
gameplay.
showing too much.
Except for Nintendo, at least just about all of what Nintendo showed during E3 was gameplay of some sort.
Right.
So yeah, I mean Nintendo dominating the post E3 pre-order list. 6 out of 10. That's crazy.
That is pretty crazy. I like it.
And it's got the entire top 5.
Yeah. All right. Next we have probably should put this with the other review kind of subset here. We have Mario Golf Super Rush reviews I've poured in. It's been about 5 days, so I think we have a pretty good idea as to what is going on with Mario Golf. And it's the same with this guy. It's kind of in the low 70s, kind of a lower average user score if you're looking at Metacritic.
72.
Yeah, 72 Metascore, 6.2 user score. So it's and I'm just looking at I know that does a whole aggregate type of thing, but man, this game is all over the place when it comes to some of these scores.
Yeah, it's varied a lot. There's perfect tens, and then there's zeros.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I,
The entire spectrum is present on this game.
they've
Wow.
obviously tried something very different in terms of what Mario Golf is. So I don't. I think I'm actually gonna get this. My son has been asking me for this. He's been seeing commercials on it. Either it's commercial or advertisements that have been procured for him on YouTube. But
I
he's been asking for this.
I apologize. I was looking at the user review scores, where you
For
definitely
those
see,
zeros.
yeah, big variance. All right, no perfect tens on the critic side. The highest was 91, and the lowest, which is a big gap, is I believe 50. Yep.
Yeah,
So that
that
is
is a big
a big
gap.
gap.
Excuse,
But
I just need to get a drink. 1 second.
that's why you get an average, and yeah, I mean, it looks like there's just kind of a semi lack of content or enough content and variation to sort of keep things going with the single player aspects of the campaign mode or whatever it's called in Mario Golf.
Mm-hmm.
That's generally a complaint that I'm seeing here and there.
Yeah,
So,
I'd have to look at the reviews, but maybe that's part of it. Yeah.
yeah. But it's not a bad game. Even though it's in the 70s, that's still good, right? So if you are a fan of Mario Golf, or if you want to get Mario Golf, then get it. You're going to enjoy it.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna get it. I think I'm gonna do it. Mostly because I need to stop my son from asking me. Okay. What do we have here? Mario plus Rabbids. We did. Oh no, I'm sorry. We will get to Mario plus Rabbids, but first we have Chris Melod. Oh, I knew I was gonna screw this up. I had it. I thought I had it so well.
Melodandry,
How did you get it on the first shot?
because I
You know how to read.
I have no clue.
That's awesome. All right, so he's the co-producer of the Super Mario animated movie. Has now joined the Nintendo board of directors. So he's got a seat at the big table at
the
Nintendo.
the big table,
Yeah,
like this is a big deal.
we have ideas.
We
Well,
do.
an idea.
Well, all right. So they're bringing in the person who was the founder of Illumination,
Yep.
the studio, which did a whole bunch of different major projects. They worked on they did the Ice Age movies and a bunch of other stuff. Right?
Minions.
Yeah, Despicable Me and
Yeah.
all that stuff. So they do CGI film animation work. They've been doing it for quite a while. Their season, they've won tons of awards. And then they worked with Nintendo and Shigeru Miyamoto working on the Mario animated film, which is going to come out sometime next year. And now they out Nintendo, which doesn't like foreigners at all. They sort of keep their board of directors very Japanese grounded, which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
They bring out the big chair or a big chair for this person, this individual, this co-producer of the Mario film. So either he buttered up Miyamoto real good through like really good words, or he's just
Really
that.
good.
I don't know. He's probably super talented because Nintendo likes talent. So he's probably really talented. Impressed Shigeru and Nintendo overall with the film that's coming up. So, I mean, this is saying something. Like, I think the Mario movie is going to be quite excellent if Nintendo's willing to bring this person on board to the board of directors.
Yeah. It could open up a whole new branch of Nintendo, right?
It,
A
yeah,
whole new
and
like a movie division.
yeah, that was something that we talked about before
Right.
doing the recording. Yeah, this opens up that door to, because this guy already started up a studio to do this.
Yeah.
So what better person who not only has the quality and the pedigree and the experience to do it.
Mm-hmm.
They also got the seat, right? They've offered a chair in the board of directors, and they already have put one finger in the Nintendo franchise pie, and it's the biggest finger at that. It's Mario.
Yeah. Yeah.
I,
That's like
I
that. Like they protect that franchise, right? That Mario franchise with like kid gloves.
So I am hoping this leads to exactly what you said and what we discussed earlier, which is Nintendo opening up a film production wing. They wanted to do this. Miyamoto has been wanting to do this for a while now. He did those Pikmin short films,
Yep.
um, and they've been hinting towards this, and especially Miyamoto himself has been wanting to do something like this. And I think this guy is that opportunity for Nintendo to expand into that. We're gonna see it. I
Yeah.
think this is almost a lock. There's gonna be an entire movie film adaptation angle to Nintendo, and if I were Disney, I'd be shaking in my boots.
Yeah. Yeah, not only does this guy know the business, right? He's got, like you had said, he has the experience, but he's been doing it for a while. He knows the system. He knows like what to do. He knows the business. That's really important.
He knows it. He's got awards saying showing that he knows it. Like
Yeah,
it's I'm very excited. The only downside to this is it's still going to be a ways off.
yeah,
Right.
and that's okay. And actually, I would put another downside if we're going to be completely negative is that we may only see kid friendly franchises where, say for example, they do like a Legend of Zelda. Do you want that to be a darker tone, or do you want it to be like a lighthearted tone, like a Mario movie would be or should be, something like that? So that's where I get concerned. Like, all right, what's the age range here? What are we trying to do here? I mean, I don't want to see a Bayonetta. I mean, maybe I would, but what are we doing? Are we going Super Mario? Are we going Bayonetta or whatever?
I think what's coming after Mario is probably going to be Pikmin. I think Pikmin's going to come in next. Uh,
Along with
probably,
Pikmin 4, whatever that
uh,
is.
and and if not Pikmin, Kirby, definite.
Mm,
There are some in Donkey Kong, like there are some easy grabs.
yeah,
Like you said, younger audience, right? Kirby's an easy grab, Donkey Kong's an easy grab. Pikmin was already something that we know Miyamoto really wants to do, and that's probably going to be a pretty easy grab as well. So all of those things are likely to happen, and I think if they do Zelda, they're probably going to go with like a original Zelda artwork
yep,
type. Not saying the artwork, but like a world resembling the original Zelda, what the artwork in the original Zelda tried to depict, or which is very similar to it, which is A Link to the Past. They'll probably lean towards those two Zelda games as primary influences for building a world, and I think that could work because it would cater towards a younger audience, but it wouldn't be too young to detract adults
right.
and
Hey, don't get me wrong. I'll still watch a Mario movie, like with the best of them. Don't.
absolutely. I'm
Yeah.
I'm I'm watching this Super Mario movie. I've already watched it. It just hasn't happened yet.
Right. I gotcha. All right. So yeah, you're right. Could it be so far into the future? Probably.
Oh, Star Fox is definitely going to be a thing.
There
Like
you
Star Fox movie, that's a surefire. The only franchise I know for certain is not going to get a movie is going to be Metroid.
go.
That one's a lock. Metroid ain't happening.
Oh man. Yeah, probably.
That one's a little too dark.
All right. Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope development team is now 3 times bigger than the original. There's a lot going on in here.
Yep, 3 times bigger means triple the budget.
Triple the budget. All right. So Mario Plus, it was revealed at E3 digital event. Actually, was leaked before that, but let me see here. Here's some. Now this is who was this from? Well, it was a vague 2022 release date. Both Ubisoft employees shared a little bit about what fans can expect from the sequel to the well-received Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle. Here are some key points from the interview via Reset Era member Luke88. So, kind of a few bullet points. You can find this at My Nintendo News. The development team and general scope of the project, as stated previously, has grown considerably. The previous game was handled by Ubisoft Milan and Paris, with a team just over 100 developers. This time around, other Ubisoft subsidiaries are involved, and the team is 3 times as big.
Wow.
Yeah, and like we mentioned before, it's got the it's a little more open. There's a lot more going on. The battle system is very, very different. So yeah,
You can freely control the camera.
yep,
That's a big difference. That freedom of movement when you're in battle, that's a game changer. So yeah, they're taking risks. They're changing things up. They're sort of keeping what worked and just going crazy on things that people were perfectly fine with. Didn't think was a problem, right? I didn't think the original mechanics were an issue. I think they were pretty solid.
they were
And
simplistic, like you had said before. Everything was just kind of simple, safe. I would say safe, simple and safe. And now they're kind of all right. Let's stretch our legs a little bit, right?
yeah, they're doing that, and it's great. They're stretching their legs, spreading their wings, and I hope this bird flies.
Yeah. Speaking of flying, I don't know
Yeah,
why we're talking about this next article, but we're going to do it anyway. Nintendo's Bill Trina on Breath of the Wild 2. We don't even know if this is an RPG, but here we go. By the time you finish playing it, I think everyone's probably going to feel that this is its own thing. I think what they're worried about is that, they're kind of following up one of the best Zelda games ever, right? So they don't want, number one, they don't want it to be shadowed, right? Overshadowed by that. And then they want it
yeah.
to feel like it's its own thing here. So this is during a Treehouse event. He had plenty to say to IGN, but about what Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 is, even though he couldn't reveal anything new about the game itself. One topic in particular had been about comparisons to Majora's Mask and if the game was really its own thing. What I would be concerned about is this putting a bow in the Zelda timeline. Like, are we going back to the original Skyward? Like, is this why Skyward Sword is a thing? Like, are we meant to just be reminded that Skyward Sword is the kind of the original, kind of like this is where everything really just started? And now we've seen what Breath of the Wild 2 is, right? So we've seen where, or some of the trailer where you're flying in between islands, you're in the sky, that sort of stuff. Are we seeing kind of a circle here?
Some sort
What's
of connection.
yeah. So
Sort of. How would you say it? Perhaps they're making some sort of link to the past.
I don't get it.
Huh?
So
They're
yeah,
probably
I mean
doing that.
the timeline is so convoluted anyway. So I mean, there's so much jumping and whatnot. And no one can agree on it.
I can agree on it.
Of course you could. Of course you could.
It's what Nintendo has shown. It is exactly that. Except no one knows where Breath of the Wild fits in a timeline, and Nintendo hasn't told us where it fits. So my
Right.
guess is the timeline is all the 3 different timelines converged into one, and then sometime later,
The breath.
maybe 10,000 years later, then we have Breath of the Wild.
Yeah. So this is, from what I understand, that this is the direct continuation from Breath of the Wild 2. So are we going back in time here? What exactly is going on? But they did say that it's going to feel, or everyone's probably going to feel, that is its own thing. And I hope it is.
Yeah, well, I think that's what Nintendo's saying, but the complaint that everyone has is, oh, it's the same overworld that was in Breath of the Wild. But now there's like this whole sky element, which is a big deal.
That is very
But
different.
what people are concerned about is the ground world the same? Like they want to re they want to explore something new, right? They don't want to necessarily explore the same Hyrule fields, right? And you could see that they are using the same map. It's transformed in some way. Who knows? Maybe it transforms in an even more significant way as you continue to play.
Mm-hmm.
We just don't know enough yet. I mean, look at A Link to the Past, right? You you end up playing the first 3 dungeons of that game, and then all of a sudden, uh, stuff hits the fan, and you're in a completely different overworld. Just
Yeah.
completely
It's very dark.
table flipping, right?
Yeah.
So they could do something like this. Like, I don't think the sky just having these little sky islands are going to be enough, and they're probably hiding a whole lot more.
Yeah. I hope they are.
Yeah.
I mean, if the game is the original is so massive, like they could easily hide a lot of stuff, you know.
Yep.
But yeah, I think that's great. I hope they really do feel like it's its own thing because I don't think it needs to either. But I just would hate for it to be overshadowed. All right. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I just it's Nintendo kind of has like you could tell when they were talking about Breath of the Wild before Breath of the Wild came out that they had this confidence during their interviews or the things that they were saying,
Yeah.
uh, that they knew that they had something amazing and they were confident about it. It felt like they were confident about it, and you could kind of see it when they did their unveil where uh what's his name, the dev.
Oh,
uh
jeez,
mm,
it's not
well,
coming to me.
yeah, that guy, where he's sitting on I think it was like sitting on a chair or standing, I forgot what it was, but it was like a white background, and all of a sudden he like snaps his fingers, and all of a sudden,
Miyamoto. Jeez. Wow.
no, it's not Miyamoto.
No.
No,
Aonuma.
Enuma,
Uh,
yes.
all right.
Edgy, right? Edgy Enuma.
Yeah.
There we go. All right, and he snaps his fingers, and the whole like the white background turns into like you see Hyrule for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Link starts, riding his horse around and stuff like that. Like that was incredible, incredible. And they haven't done that for Breath of the Wild 2. And I think what they're doing is they're holding back in order to do a moment like that.
I
Some big revealing amazing moment.
I think it all comes down to I think it was IGN that broke this where it's potentially the title of it is kind of spoilery, I guess.
Oh, they said it themselves, yeah.
Yeah. But so they're kind of they are definitely holding back a lot.
Yeah.
And it's it kind of sucks. Sorry. It kind of really stinks that the title itself is just going to be that spoilery. You know what I mean? Like I hope it doesn't ruin any of the experience. Or maybe it's just spoilery, like say for example the Rise of Ganon. Let's just say it's called that. I'm like, all right, great. Now we know Ganon is coming alive. Maybe it's something as simple as that, but Nintendo thinks it's kind of a big deal. I don't know. All right. Lastly, we have The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD overview trailer. I actually totally missed this. I don't know where I think I was actually on vacation, so I totally did not even was not able to watch this. So I'm just now catching up here. So it goes over an overview of the story, characters, world, and gameplay of the earlier title in the Zelda timeline. And it looks like it's got. See, I really don't. I hope it's not very reliant on motion controls. I really hope it's not.
You don't have to. You're using what looks to be the right stick to manually aim your sword swings,
Yeah,
which is great. I think that's gonna solve the problem for those who don't want to use the right Joy-Con for the motion sensing stuff, and it'll work because it's mapped to a stick. How can you mess that up?
You don't know.
It'll probably be flicks. You have to like flick it real quick, and it'll do the attack.
Yeah. I hope it's something really just not so convoluted, not so complicated, and because I just don't do motion controls. But then they also went into the Zelda and Loftwing amiibo, which I am for sure getting. And what this allows is you can, I guess, from anywhere on the surface world, you can quickly travel to the sky, even within the depth of a dungeon. Scan it again above the clouds to return to the same spot. A lot of people are mad about this. So this is kind of locking like an in-game feature to an amiibo.
Yeah.
So they're not happy about it.
Who cares? Like the original game didn't have it, so
Yeah, right.
what does it matter if they added something in here and they locked it behind amiibo? So what?
Yeah.
Don't use it. You didn't need it when you played the original game.
But don't get me wrong, that is a pretty
No, it's not.
no?
It doesn't.
You, you scan it, you leave, go in the
No,
sky. No, come back.
People who haven't played the game will think that's a big deal. I'm telling you this right now, it is not a big deal. When you go down to the ground, you don't need to return to the sky area. The sky area is not that important when you're playing through the game. Once you're on the ground, you're staying there for a good while,
Right.
and you're gonna explore the land. You're gonna collect the weird, what are they, like spirit seeds or something like that, and then you're going to unlock the dungeon, and then you're gonna go in there and solve the dungeon and get the thing, and then you'll return back up to the sky.
But if I had an amiibo, I can do that any dang time I wanted.
Yeah, but return back to the sky means nothing because you're gonna have to go back to the ground, back to where you were before. Anyway, there's no reason to go up to the sky. There's no reason. There's like no reason to go up to the sky.
All right, so
The
this is silly then, right?
Well, I guess there's a slight reason to go up to the sky. Like that's where all your crafting and upgrading your weapons and your armor and your shield and all
you could
that.
do it. You could do it mid dungeon.
You could, in theory, but you don't need to. That's like you really don't need to. Like once you're on the ground, like you don't need to return back. You're not gonna.
I mean, I am clearly gonna have an advantage over you because I can fly to the sky anytime I want.
Oh, you're gonna waste time doing that. Meanwhile, I'm just beating that area, that zone, and the dungeon in it faster than you. Like
we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, it's just a waste of time going back to the sky.
Oh, you and your time management.
Well, look, it is. The game is very linear.
Also to note, it does showcase some of the quality of life stuff that they've made for the game. Also, it runs at 60 FPS. So people like Johnny, those FPS snobs, there you go, 60 FPS.
60 makes a difference.
Whatever.
60, that is some silky smooth stuff right there. Even though the game doesn't, the art style is not that great. But having it run at 60 frames a second, that's a big deal.
Yeah, that's awesome though. Excellent. And that's going to do it for today.
Oh.
No, it's not. We have upcoming RPGs.
Yeah. So, just looking at upcoming releases for our last little tidbit.
Bop-bop-bop-a-doo.
So what we have coming up, there's some actual like big ones. I'm just trying to find my space. Sky Children of Light. Really? That's an RPG?
I don't even know. Yeah, yes, it's an RPG. Yeah.
It's not an RPG. There's nothing about it's. Would you consider what's that game where you're in the desert?
Breath of the Wild.
Journey.
I don't know. I was just naming games you're in the desert, right? You didn't give me much to go on.
Did you ever play Journey?
I did not.
By the way, Journey is incredible. Awesome game. You can beat the game in like 3 hours or less. super quick game, beautiful game. It's one of the games that you could just hand the controller to like people who do not play games, and they will have a good time.
Hmm.
It's a very fantastical game. It's this game, Sky Children of Light is the same developers. It's another one of their games. It plays a lot like Journey, from what I understand. It's free. What? It's free?
It's an online game.
Yeah. Uh, it's not an RPG though, so I don't know why it's on this list.
I don't know. I don't know about the game much at all.
So Disgaea 6 is out, as we said.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What's this? So there's this game called Vaster Claws 3, Dragon Slayer of the God World. That's asking a lot.
That sounds pretty epic.
Oh wow! Look at this game. It has got menus.
It's a very menu-driven game.
What is going on here? It's got like a Sega Saturn old school Dragon Force,
That's a great way to describe this game, honestly.
right?
Yeah.
You know, I might have to look at this game a
It,
little close.
it's got a pretty hefty price tag at $30 though.
If it's trying to mimic Dragon Force, sign me up. I'll pay that hefty price.
So yeah, we have Vaster Claws 3. I didn't hear about 1 and 2, but maybe 3 is up there. Then let's go to the futures. We have Alphadia Genesis 2. Alphadia Genesis 2 is it is a strategy RPG. It ugh. Man, trying to explain some of these games to the listening audience is can be challenging at times because you're always looking for something. Right, this reminds me of this. This reminds me of that. So yeah, Alphadia Chronicles is a Kemco strategy RPG. So if you're familiar with Kemco, you'll know you'll have the RPG Maker-esque kind of overworld, but in battle it goes to a totally different screen. It almost reminds me of Disgaea, except without the elevations, things like that. But
Disgaea.
yeah, well,
It looks nothing like Disgaea.
I don't need. Okay, so how do you explain this to people?
It looks like a typical turn-based RPG type of combat system. I would reckon it to Skies of Arcadia, but there's another one that's kind of like it. It's a 3D turn-based RPG that Skies of Arcadia, and there were other similar games like it. It looks a lot like that. I forgot what they were, but we're talking like PlayStation, Dreamcast, era turn-based RPGs.
You
So
are you are great at actually coming up with these things here. All right, so that is coming out July 1st, and it's $14 or $15 on the eShop. Currently on sale at $13.50. Next, we have July 2nd, Epistory, Typing Chronicles.
this game looks awesome.
Yeah, this one is very. I would say this is very unique.
Oh yeah.
I think also that a USB keyboard is required.
Is that how it works?
I
Okay.
I think. I'm not entirely sure. I do know that one of our writers, Evan, was interested in this game, but he was having some difficulty with the code, so I'm not sure what's going on there. But yeah, it's an atmospheric adventure typing game that tells the story of a writer lacking inspiration who asks her muse to help her write her latest book. So you're essentially going on to this world, and it's not photorealistic. It's almost like diorama, but it's kind of an isometric view. And it looks like you're just kind of going through these areas where there's writing on the ground. And again, I'm not entirely sure if you're typing out these answers or questions or words, or if you're just kind of taking certain paths to write this story. But it looks really really cool, really interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, the visuals. I watched a video of this game running. This is something to pay attention to, and that unique sort of typing in order to get through it. Yeah, that is something special. You're playing as like a lady riding on a weird multi-tailed fox thing.
Oh,
Uh, yeah,
cool. So that is currently on sale for $12 at the US eShop. And
and
then next,
uh, perhaps the biggest game that's coming out relatively soon. So on July 6th, which is just 1 week away, we have Yeast 9
hmm
Monstrum Nox.
I played for the demo for this. I thoroughly enjoyed my time with it, so I'm really kind of excited to play this. Yeah,
I am
it's
excited that you're excited, and I'm also excited because if it scores well enough, and the scores already came out for the PlayStation 4 version of it.
did it? I'm not sure. Oh yeah, no, because it's already been out. Yeah.
Yeah, it's already been out, but not on Switch yet. So the big key factors is, does it run well, and is it going to score well enough? And if it's yes and yes, I am totally on board because I like these games. They are solid. We call it the solid art JRPGs that they're never going to be bad. They're never going to like be like amazingly good.
Right.
You're almost guaranteed though to have a good time no matter what.
Yeah, so for just for reference, the Yeast 9 Monster Nox for PS4 got an 80. So it's really just and the user got an 8.3. So it's a pretty solid game. It's just how does it run, you know?
Yep. And there's actually, wow, there's actually more good games coming out next week.
Really are. A lot of
Yeah.
great.
The art,
I put together the video for upcoming July games. I'm like, wow,
yep.
this is a heavy month here.
Yeah. So Aria Chronicle is looking good. I mean, the only thing about Aria Chronicle that is a little off-putting is probably its price tag. It's a $40 game. It's coming out on July 8th, but it's got good art. It's a slightly different style, and it looks like to have a traditional esque uh, turn-based combat system. The
Hmm.
characters look cool. They got lots of stats all over the place. They
A
got
lot of
many
stats.
stats like crazy. So that's
Hmm.
it's got some depth, or maybe just it has a whole lot of complexity with no depth. We don't know, but there's something there potentially. And then the very next day, we have Monster Hunter Stories 2, Wings of Ruin.
Yeah.
And that's probably going to be one of the biggest games for the entire month of July. I mean, Yeast, that one. We got Zelda. We got Neo. Oh man, this month is going to be, or July is going to be
Yep.
crazy.
I wouldn't overlook Chris Tales too. I know that was kind of in development, kind of hell for a little bit, but Chris Tales visually looks freaking amazing. There's some time travel components to it. It's really kind of cool. So I wouldn't sleep on that one as well.
Were you the one playing on the YouTube Let's Play videos of Fates of Ort? Was that you?
That was me. Yeah.
What do you think of that game? Because we commented on that, and I said, "Oh, it looks like a game that I would like." It looks like it was up my alley because it looks it looks it looked initially bad, but for me, I saw it as like this old school kind of head
It
nod, CRPG head nod.
Yeah, it definitely has that. I think the mechanic that I did not expect. It's definitely an action RPG, but the mechanic I wasn't expecting was when you're not moving, nobody else is moving. So you could throw out a spell, it'll literally sit in front of you until you start moving, and then once you keep moving, the spell will keep moving or whatever. The enemies will move around you, but once you stop, everything stops around you. So it's almost gives you time to kind of assess what's going on around you. So it's kind of an interesting mechanic. But there's just so much other stuff. Like you have to play the game in order to understand. Like there's a lot of loot drops or randomized loot. So that's always fun. But I only played about a few hours of it, so I know that this game has a little bit more. It's more detailed than that, so I really can't comment much more than that. But it's definitely a head nod to some of your old school CRP. Yeah, I guess you could call it CRPGs, but it's an action game.
Yeah, it's a rogue like style game where it is that sort of dungeon crawler. You
Yeah,
take a step, which is taking a turn, and then the enemies take their turn. But instead of it being turn based, it's real time with auto pause.
yeah. And it's challenging too because in the very beginning you get to choose between three sisters and they all kind of do their different thing. One of the sisters allows you, I think she allows you to cast magic without it depleting your health, and one of them is you cast magic with it depleting your health. So there's a lot of like checks and balances. You gotta figure out how you want to play. It's like I said, there's a lot going on to this. It could be a Johnny game.
Yeah. You know what is a very much a Johnny game, and it came out, let's see, a little over a week ago. Ender Lilies,
Ah,
Quietus of the Knights,
yep.
and I was kind of waiting for more reviews to come in, and they did, and it's at 85 on Metacritic, and this is like a Metroidvania through and through. It's really checking the Castlevania side of that box,
Yep.
and it looks visually really good. It's scoring really well. It's starting to get a lot of attention.
Mm.
So I'm probably because it's a beautiful looking game.
I don't doubt that it's a really good game. It's got an 85, right? I understand that, but that's only based on 4 reviews. So it
Yep.
doesn't really have quite the pool, but if you look at the user score, it says about 10 ratings at a 9.7. So I think you'd get a pretty good experience out of this.
Well, there's that, and then on Steam,
The
uh,
Steam one. Yeah, that
yeah,
probably has a bigger review base.
yep, it does. So on Steam, there is almost 6,000 user reviews,
A couple. Yep, a couple more.
and the average for that is 94%.
There you go. That is a Johnny game. A castle. It's a Metroidvania, maybe Metroid, more Castlevania, and
Yeah.
it's reviews well.
Yeah. So that will be another. I was kind of waiting for more reviews, and they came out, and it it's not mediocre. It's better than that. It looks to be great, so I'm probably gonna scoop that up
Yeah,
real
it,
soon.
it looks awesome though. I will
Yeah,
say that it looks really good.
yeah.
So yeah,
What a time to for RPGs. Like the time is now. Like things are looking real good across the board. Between games that have just released, not too long ago. Like Legend of Mana is another one that released. Which got reviewed on the site, right? Maybe
yep,
if you're interested in that one, check out the review on switchrpg.com. And just a gargantuan amount of good and great or absolutely amazing games coming out this month or this upcoming month. Like,
hmm
great time. This is going to be a fantastic summer for Switch gaming and Switch RPGs.
I agree. I agree. That is going to wrap up today's episode of the Switch RPG podcast. Thank you so much for listening. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, don't forget to hit us up at podcast@switchrpg.com. Also, if you listen on an app, please don't forget to write us a review. I see lots of people who listen to the show, and we only have a small handful of reviews. Let's get those if we can. Want to climb up those charts. So yeah, your support there would be great. And finally, remember you can head over to switchrpg.com for all your RPG needs on the Nintendo Switch. And we'll see you in the next episode. Goodbye.